when I was first asked by the Statesman Journal, like, what do you see as the big problem facing Salem? Like, everyone expects you to say homelessness. And of course, I acknowledge homelessness is a huge issue. But I started saying affordable housing is the next biggest challenge facing our city.
Yeah.
And in 2019, even in 2019, people weren't talking about it then like we are now. And boy, are we talking about it now.
Yeah. Well, because you could see it coming then.
Yeah. I mean, if look at the pandemic and how median prices just skyrocketed during I think the median price home now is over $400,000, closer to $450,000 in the city of Salem.
Mm.
And the city staff told us at a meeting when we were talking about housing that less than 20% of Salem residents could afford to buy a median price home in the city of Salem.
Hey guys, welcome to the Salem Business Journal Podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Peone, and with me I have City Councilor and Mayoral candidate, Vanessa Nordyke.
Hey,
Vanessa,
how's it going?
It's going good. How's your day?
Oh, it's going great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Beautiful day in Salem, living the dream.
Oh gosh, were you down at Casa today?
No, I was working remotely this morning, but we had a staff meeting this morning. We've got a big gala coming up. So yeah, lots to do, lots going on for sure.
Before we go into, there's all sorts of topics we could talk about.
Certainly.
But before we go into those, let's talk a little bit about you. Because I think what a lot of people see are the headlines of, Vanessa Nordyke doing stuff with Casa, doing things for the city, activism, things that you're working on.
Yep.
But what we don't see a lot about is how did you grow up? You got family? I've met some of your family. I'd like to hear a little bit more about, from your perspective, growing up around here and what life was like and just who are you?
Right on. Well, thank you, Jesse. And thank you, Salem Business Journal, for the opportunity. So I was born and raised here in the city of Salem. I grew up going to Salem Heights Elementary School, Judson Middle School, 1 year at Sprague, and then my family moved houses. And so I did my 3 final years at South, Go Saxons, class of 98. Growing up, I was a kid who was really involved in a lot of things. I was involved in sports. I was involved in my school newspaper. I sang in choir. I was a latchkey kid, if you know that term.
What is the latchkey kid?
So basically it means you have a house key and you get off your school bus, you let yourself into your house. And so that's what I would do. I'd come home on the school bus, just like a lot of other kids. I'd let myself in, I'd fix myself a snack, and then I'd go to my room and study until dinner time. So, yeah. And when my sister would get dropped off, she was 3 years younger than me, is 3 years younger than me. And I would be in charge of babysitting her and helping her out with some things. But no, I did my chores. I did my homework. I walked her dog. I was a good kid. Stayed out of trouble. I was really excited. I loved school. I loved studying. I loved learning. I love sports.
What were some of your favorite topics in school?
In school, Spanish. I started taking Spanish from Mrs. Mokry, Maria Mokry, at Judson Middle School at 7th grade. And she had such a wonderful enthusiasm for learning language. It was just infectious. You know it is when you have great teachers. Yeah. And Mrs. Mokry was one of them. I had tremendous teachers in the Salem Kaiser Public School District. I still run into them from time to time. You know what a small town this is.
Oh, yeah.
So to this day, I'm pretty proficient in Spanish. I took it 7th grade through 12th grade and then 4 more years in college.
Dang.
And in college, I went to Georgetown University School of Foreign Service. They do not let you graduate from the School of Foreign Service until you can prove oral proficiency in a foreign language.
Dang, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, they were very strict about it. They were a top 25 program in the nation. I have a story for how I even got into Georgetown. That was not easy.
Well, I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, let's do it. So I started out going to University of Oregon undergrad, fantastic campus. Yep. I went to the football games. I had tremendous professors there too. I love the U of O experience. But
Tracktown USA, baby.
Yeah, that's right. Tracktown USA, Go Ducks. But I visited Washington, D.C. over my first summer in college. And I just fell in love with that town. I had already started thinking about public policy. I was studying a lot of economics, political science, social sciences. language, international affairs, all these things intrigued me. And where better to learn these things than in the nation's capital?
I mean, yeah, that's the place.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I visited Georgetown's campus on a whim, and the campus is stunningly beautiful. It was founded in 1789, and their School of Foreign Service was one of the best international schools in the country.
Wow.
And so I thought, man, I wonder if I could transfer here. So my second year, my sophomore year at U of O, the entire year I spent working on getting the very best possible grades I could, getting letters of recommendation, getting good, part-time opportunities, like a summer job, doing everything I can. I was president of an honor society. I was super engaged because I knew that if I was going to transfer from U of O to Georgetown, I needed to put my very best foot forward. And so after about a year of work, I submitted my application, and the letter came back and it said, "Congratulations, Miss Nordyke, you've been waitlisted."
Oh, no.
We're like,
Oh,
waitlisted?
no.
So I was like, well.
Did it start with like, congratulations?
Yeah, something like that.
So as you're reading, you're like,
yeah. I mean, do I have the letter committed to memory? No. But you know what they say. You don't remember what people say. You don't remember what people do, but you remember how people make you feel.
yeah, of course. Yeah.
That's how that letter made me feel. But when I got that letter, Jesse said, well, I'll just have to work twice as hard now. So during that summer, I worked at a law firm, got some good experience there. I was doing a little bit of Spanish translation and kind of the other kind of law clerky type stuff. And I submitted more information. The admissions office was really getting to know me by then. Like, yes, Miss Nordyke. Yes, we did receive your latest letter. No, there is no more information we need. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we'll be in touch. It was kind of like that.
Yeah. You know what's really funny is I could imagine you doing that because like you seem like, I mean, you're a go-getter.
Yep.
And so,
right.
Being proactive about, well, are you guys going to let me in?
Right. Right.
That's really funny.
Yeah. I mean, I'm tenacious and, team sports growing up. I mean, you learn that the harder you work, the better you are as a player, the faster you are. I did track and field. I love how track and field is so linear. The more you work at it, the faster you are. And it's also so humbling when you start out in a sport and everyone around you seems like an Olympian compared to you. I love the humility that comes from learning a new sport, but also just, again, work ethic will be rewarded. Discipline will be rewarded. When I remember I did swim team at South High. And back in the day, do you remember Olinger Pool growing up?
Olinger Pool. No.
Okay.
Was that the one that was at South?
No, but there was one at South. That is correct. I think it had already been decommissioned by the time I was in high school. No, I'm talking about the one over here by North High.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So that one, I believe, just got paved over when I got on the school board because that's when we passed the bond.
Yeah.
And so I think they turned it into, I don't want to say it wrong, but they turned it into something else that was not a pool.
Yeah. Right. So
I went to Cascade. So I went to Staten's pool sometimes, and that was kind of fun. I think they still have it.
Okay. Well, they should. I mean, swimming is a fantastic all over sport. It's virtually impossible to get injured in swim team. There's no concussion risk for the most part.
I don't know about that, Vanessa. I've tried. One of my really good friends in college was a competitive swimmer. His name was Keaton. Great buddy of mine. Super cool guy.
Yeah.
He was a linebacker for the football team, but he was also a competitive swimmer, which is a crazy combo.
Yes, it is. Unusual.
And so I was like, okay, I bet you I can do this swimming stuff. Yeah. And I sink. I'm not built to float, Vanessa.
Oh, come on.
So when you say it's easy, it is not. I don't think it is one bit. Like lackadaisical swimming.
Okay.
But competitive swimming, I'm like,
yeah,
you're a wild animal for that one.
Well, I mean, it's the reason I bring up Olinger is that I was kind of thinking about this today. We had to share that pool. South, because it's not like most high schools have their own basketball court, their own football field. There's no question that the home team gets to have a home court and gets to practice on their home court as much as they're allowed to under the rules, right? Not so with what swimming was like growing up in Salem. We had one pool. We had 55 minutes in that pool. And I remember getting out of the water, like pushing yourself out of the water, just so here comes the Olies in their black and orange unis from Sprague High, standing there waiting to get in the pool and practice right after you.
Dang.
Yeah.
So you guys, it was like a...
Yes. It was very it was very regimented. Well, we had to, because we had to share a pool. And so I remember when I wanted to get extra laps in to try and get my times down, I wake up super early. I'd make myself a protein smoothie. This is when I was old enough to drive. I would drive myself to Olanger and get some extra laps in before I went to school, just to try and get my time a little bit better. So, I mean, those are the kind of memories that still resonate with me, resilience, tenacity, stick-wittedness, just grit. Those things served me well in many other facets of my life. And that competitive spirit and determination is part of how I did get into Georgetown. Ultimately, they relented. Like a month and a half later, I get the thin envelope, which is terrifying, right? Like, oh God, it's a single page letter in this envelope. It could very well be a rejection letter. I remember opening that letter. My hands were practically shaking. And they said they had let me in, and they had let in 5 transfer students into the School of Foreign Service. They let in 50 students total as transfer students and 5 off the wait list. So 50 total, 45 regular transfers and 5 off the wait list. So I got in by the skin of my teeth.
Just barely
got in. I was like, woo!
That is so cool.
Yeah. But, and then, that's what got me thinking about public policy. Now I'm at Georgetown, and I interned for a senator. I interned for Senator Ron Wyden.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
Yep. I was a Capitol Hill intern. I got to give tours of the Capitol to visiting constituents, people from Oregon. Back in the day, this is pre 9/11, mind you. So they were a lot more lax on security. It's like, yeah, sure, you can go tour the White House. Yeah, sure, you can go. Yeah, sure, you can go tour the FBI building. Come on in. It was a different era.
See, to be honest, I totally get why it's not that anymore. But
I
I do in some ways wish it was, because I feel like it'd be so much cooler just to be able to walk into the White House. Like, I feel like that'd be such a fun experience. But now you have to book it out 10, 12 years in advance, and it's $50,000 and in a tow to get in. And
well, I certainly hope they don't charge. I mean, the tours were.
I don't think I ever actually looked into it.
Well,
I just remember we went there and it was a long wait. I was like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, and that's a thing. So, this is a pro tip, and I don't know if congressional offices still do this, but if you're planning to go to Washington, D.C., call a member of Congress, your member of Congress, of course, and say, I would like free tickets, please. And so we would.
No way.
Yes, we would. We would get free tickets. Yeah, this is a pro tip. We would get tickets. Oh, you want to tour the FBI? No problem. Would you like to tour the White House? No problem. Yeah, it was a constituent service.
Wow.
Absolutely. And I went on some of those tours myself. It was fascinating. I've toured the White House, the FBI building, and I used to give behind the scenes tours of the Capitol. Did you know there's like a railroad? Like a tiny little, it's like a little tram or something.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I did get to go down there and see all that. So the week that I went to DC was the same week that COVID came out.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. So it was a wild week. So at the beginning of the week, there was no COVID. At the end of the week, there was definitely COVID.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It was a crazy time. But
wow. Well, it is an old building, and it was designed in a completely different era. I don't know. No idea.
Probably like a secret society or something.
Who knows? Well, yeah, who knows? So yeah, I had a wonderful experience in DC. I loved it. I really enjoyed public policy, all those things. I eventually came back to Oregon and decided I wanted to make my mark here.
When did you come back to Oregon?
Oh gosh, when was that? Probably about 2004 is when I came back.
Yeah.
I applied to law school. I applied to only the Oregon law schools. It was like, no, I don't want to live in DC. I don't want to live in any other part of the country.
Yeah.
This is where my family is. I'm still extremely close to my family. My dad, I was just on the phone with my dad like an hour ago.
Oh, were you?
Oh, absolutely.
I met him the other night at a Capitol thing. He was very nice.
Yeah. No, he's a great supporter of the community. And he was a small business owner in downtown Salem for many, many years.
Oh, really?
Yep. I'm the daughter of a small business owner. Yeah.
What did he own?
his law office. He was Robert E. Nordyke, attorney at law.
Oh, I
And
knew that.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's all good. And his law office was right across the street from the Marion County Courthouse. So he could just walk in whenever he had court.
That is convenient.
Yep, it was. And my stepdad growing up owned Ranch Records. So my first after school job was working minimum wage, if I'm not mistaken, at Ranch Records downtown. You remember you remember the
Ranch
downtown,
Records?
right?
What is Ranch Records?
Well, it was a music store. So they sold these things called CDs and records.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know about CDs for a minute. Well,
Tapes. Remember tapes? Oh my God, you were so young.
Well, one of my foster moms had a tape that like had like a cord on it, and she would plug it into her phone. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Now, I mean, there were
That's
lots
all I
of different types of technology. You see, I was born in 1980, and some of us call ourselves the Oregon Trail generation because we had that great kind of analog, like DOS system era Oregon Trail game. Did you ever play that?
I did play
computer
Oregon
game?
Trail, and that game was so cool.
It is so cool.
We got to bring it back.
I don't know why there's not like a PS5 version of that game. I
there
think
should
that would be epic.
That was so cool.
As use a young person parlance, epic. So
Yeah, epic's out of style though.
yeah, you see, that's what happens.
I don't want to break it to you.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I know my generation. So it was so fascinating. 1980 was an interesting time to be born because everything was still analog as of that moment. So I grew up, we discovered the internet, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have smartphones. We didn't have MP3 players.
Yeah.
I still remember there was a huge fight over Napster just having music available for free. And that was and now, I mean, kids growing up have a completely different concept of how to access information. Well, it should be available.
Well, see, we reached, everyone my age, reached just the end of each of those, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of, if you were skipping a rock across water, we kind of hit just the end of the internet age.
Yeah.
Right. iPhones came out when we were in elementary school, and then, they were pretty popular by the time middle school, high school came around. And then AI, when I was in grad schools, when, AI was became a huge thing and rocked the way that college was working. And so I'd be interested to hear your perspective also on, AI, especially when it comes to our kids and education and the way that our world is working.
What a fascinating question. Well, I mean,
Government.
Yeah, actually. Well, child safety is my top priority. Yeah. I mean, as someone who runs a nonprofit to serve children who are survivors of abuse and neglect, safety is my number one priority. So how AI is rapidly evolving, and it feels like the Wild West right now. It's evolving before rules are being put into place to ensure that kids are safe online. There is a great book called The Anxious Generation, and it's about how social media has really impacted cognitive development for children. How it has created these expectations on, for example, how should young girls look? How should they behave? How is it important to look a certain way to be attractive? And the anxiety that has arisen as a whole through young people who grew up knowing nothing before social media. AI is the next phase of social media. I mean, you go on Instagram, there's plenty of AI generated images everywhere you go. And that's true everywhere. I think AI poses a danger because people won't know what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
And as someone who is in pursuit of the truth, who's someone who believes in research, science, facts, things like that, it will make that line increasingly hard to determine where are we in fiction and where are we in nonfiction? Where are we in reality? And how do you know you're interacting with someone online who's a real person? I mean, unfortunately, I think people can be manipulated by what they see on social media.
Yeah.
Which is why it's so important to be objective, to support journalism by real people. Right. I think supporting local journalism is incredibly important for democracy, for truth, and for standing up to the bots. I think that all those things are still critically important. So, there's a lot going on in the news today, and I have a lot of people talking to me saying, well, I don't know what's real and what's not. I don't know what to believe anymore. And when you have this overall, just an uncertainty, it can help create anxiety.
Yeah, for sure.
I just want to circle back to AI and anxiety in children. I was at the fourth annual uh, Children, Youth, and Families Summit put on by the Wellman Health Council.
Okay. Where is this at?
This happened yesterday at the Salem Convention Center.
Okay, cool.
It's an all-day summit. They bring together nonprofits, government providers, consultants, everyone who has a vested interest in youth, children, families in the area. Willamette Health Council puts on this free conference, and it's unbelievable. Hosted by the Salem Convention Center, which their staff, they always do a top notch.
Always good. Yeah.
Always good. Shout out to the staff at Salem Convention Center. You guys always do phenomenal work.
And Allied Video, who does like a lot of the logistics.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, they're top notch. So the summit has historically had a youth panel. And, one of the superintendent, Andrea Castaneda, was moderating a panel of youth, and they had youth representatives from Salem Kaiser School District, Jervis School District, and other school districts within the Marion Polk area. And she was asking them, what keeps you up at night? And one by one, these youth talked about the things that are causing a great deal of uncertainty. They just feel afraid of the future.
Yeah.
They feel deeply afraid, deeply unsettled by what's happening at the national level, deeply unsettled by what's happening in our community. There are a lot of kids who express fear over ICE activity in our area. That was a theme that came up over and over again during that summit yesterday, that these kids are scared that it's going to be them or their parents or somebody else that they know and love who's going to be taken. And so there's a lot of anxiety and fear over the future more generally. But that was one of the more specific anxiety-inducing concerns that they raised.
A couple things I'd like to respond to on that. I think one of them, when it comes to just the AI stuff, and then of course I'd like to talk about ICE because while we're on the topic.
Yep.
But just to wrap up the AI stuff real quick, that's something that we talk a lot about, in the business world and in the private sector and public sector, and it's something that, it's kind of like this giant, powerful weapon that like we have to be careful about how to use and figuring out how do we do it correctly. And it's just like in public policy, like you learn from things, you make mistakes, you learn from it, you grow from it. And that's something that like even I've done the same thing. Like I have classmates who like used AI in school and they didn't get in trouble for it, but then they just, I shouldn't have done it that way. Do it this way. Fix it for next time. And even me, like being a news organization, because I agree with you. I think I think that the generation that we're in, we were in the information age, which was basically who can get you the most information the quickest. But now that's done. We have all of the information the fastest. We have all of the whole information of the world at our fingertips. But now the question is, what's real?
Right.
And if you're talking about kids with anxiety, I saw a video the other day. There's this TikTok account that I follow that was showing videos of different AI videos online, and he was pointing out how he knew it was AI, and which I hope that's not AI. If that's the one's AI, then we're cooked. But it was showing like this one video of like an ICE agent and a New York police officer fighting, and then if you look closely at the video, it wasn't real. And like and you couldn't tell, most of the video seemed pretty real. And then when you zoom in on the badge, there's like Latin around the badge instead of with the like protect, like with their logo motto and stuff.
Like protect and serve, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was scary about that, which whether or not that's even a real thing, we know that there's a bunch of fake videos like that are instigating violence against each other. And how many times in the past like 10 years, have we seen things on social media cause violence in real life? And that I think is kind of scary because, it's going to be 6 months, a year from now, where that little small error that you kind of have to look closely for isn't going to be there anymore.
Yeah, it's smart. It's a constantly learning technology. So it will, people used to joke about the AI videos where someone would have 6 fingers.
Yeah.
AI is going to figure out to get rid of that 6th finger, right?
Yeah.
They're going to get rid of the obvious mistakes. I think the other thing about AI is that it's not free. It's going to come with some big costs. These data centers suck up huge quantities of energy, and they are helping to drive up energy costs in our state.
Yeah.
So that's a huge challenge. Affordability is very top of mind for me.
Yeah.
As a counselor, I know that there are a lot of people in our community who are working full time and still are struggling to pay their bills, still struggling to keep up with the cost of rent. There are some people working 2 jobs and are struggling
Yeah.
to maintain housing for themselves, their children, their dependents. That's a huge problem. So, yes, there's a huge cost to having these data centers. And as I understand it, the governor has formed some sort of council to look into data centers because for years they've taken advantage of the enterprise zone.
So for the Political Center, which is a
Mhm.
statewide political news platform
Okay.
that we kind of formed in collaboration with Pac West Lobby Group, with the goal of like having like a centrist kind of news platform that isn't, isolating.
Mhm.
Um, so one article I'm kind of working on for that was talking about the usage of power from the data centers. Where like I'm not saying they're bad, right? Because it's kind of like cell phones, like it is what it is, like it's coming. But it's kind of like, okay, well, how can we maybe address the issue of their huge usage of power? They are buying it. They have every right to do that. I'm not saying they shouldn't be able to,
Mhm.
but there is the concern of them buying up all the extra power does rise up cost. It's supply and demand, right? When all the supply gets bought up, then the demand is greater, which makes power costs go up for everybody.
Right. Yeah. It is something that I don't pretend to be an expert on, but I've been hearing this over and over again. I'm hearing concerns in our community about the true cost of data centers.
Yeah.
And as I understand it, they have taken advantage of enterprise zones, which provide tax breaks. And the intention is good, right? You provide the tax break to get a business to come to town. That business hires jobs. You promote economic development. Everybody wins. That's the idea, right?
So an enterprise zone now is how close is that to like an urban renewal district?
They're different concepts, but they're legally quite distinct. But they have similar intentions, right?
Okay, yeah. Because the point of I just want to, because that's something that people
We'll
kind of
talk
understand.
about URAs, sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
But with the enterprise zones, the goal of an enterprise zone is basically to bring in business. Is that correct?
that is my understanding.
Okay.
Yes, and again, I don't pretend to be an expert on this. I'm glad you're doing an article on it because I want to learn more about it myself.
Yeah.
What I've been reading is that, but the intention is that we get huge tax breaks given to data centers, and in exchange, they employ maybe 26 people. Because once a data center is up and built, right? I mean, sure, there's an initial cost, and I'm sure there's some workers, construction folks that get some compensation for building these data centers, right? And there's gigantic ones in like Hermiston and Eastern Oregon and all over the place, really. But once they're up and running, they employ a relatively few number of people. So there is a question being raised: what is the long term return on investment from having a data center in your backyard, and how is it impacting everyday people who need power for essentials, not to become a super wealthy company, but to cook and boil to boil water for your mac and cheese for you and your kid, right?
Totally.
So I have a lot of questions about data centers. I would love to educate myself more on the issue, but I think that when you talk about AI, you can't talk about AI and not talk about data centers, because without data centers, there is no AI, not on that scale. And there's also another question: how many jobs are going to be replaced by AI long term?
Yeah. Well, actually,
that's still up in the air for me.
Yeah. So we were just getting ready to relaunch. I have one of my friends. We're just starting an AI podcast. We did one episode.
Oh, interesting.
And then law school hit him in the face with a law book. And so he
A
just
stack of law books. Yes.
exactly.
I'm familiar.
Yes. You're like, oh, PTSD. So he just took the bar this last week. Super proud of him. Yeah.
Oh, we took the February bar. All
Yes,
right.
yes.
Interesting.
So I hope he got it.
Yeah.
But
Fingers crossed.
yeah, but he's one of my best friends, but he is a huge like AI guy. And so we kind of go back and forth a lot on it, which is fun because it helps us sharpen the saw,
Yes.
And one of the things that he brought up to me, which I went and looked into, and it turns out it's fairly accurate, is they were saying that whoever they is, but they were saying that about 93% of service jobs could be replaced by AI if the business owner was able to knew how to do it correctly. Isn't that crazy?
It's concerning, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I believe in the dignity of work. I've had a part-time job since I was a teenager.
Mhm.
I remember what it's like having a part-time job after school. I've worked ever since. I think there is a dignity in work that
I
is
agree.
important to your
Yeah.
identity, to self-reliance, to really seize control of your own life. So yeah, these are all, side effects and consequences for us to consider. And I don't know quite what the future holds, but I will be
Yeah.
following this and learning more and seeing how it impacts everything.
Yeah.
The city already uses a little bit of AI, by the way. They will use an AI summary for some of the documents that they send us because we get sent a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Our council packets are sometimes quite large. So, yeah, there are ways to use AI responsibly, but I'm just mindful of the fact that AI is not free. There are a lot
Yeah.
of costs that are generated by this technology, and I want to understand what those costs truly entail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree on that.
Mhm.
Now, out of the philosophical things,
Yes.
and bringing it back to Salem and local stuff,
Mhm.
you were talking about how in the summit that you were at yesterday, a lot of these kids were expressing fear about ICE,
Yes.
and that's been a pretty common conversation in our community.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What do you see as the city's role
Mhm.
in dealing with ICE? Because a lot of it, just to preface this, is it doesn't seem like the city has legally a whole lot of control over ICE. But what do you see as where the city can play a role with ICE and where they should play a role with ICE?
Sure. Well, first, as you say, legally, I mean, first of all, ICE officers, if they're carrying out their activities carried out in the course and scope of their duties, are protected by various forms of federal immunity.
Mhm.
So there's not much that, if anything, there's nothing really that can be done when it comes to interfering with them engaged in the ordinary course and scope of their duties.
Mhm.
The question that arises is what happens when they do something outside the course and scope of their duties. We have seen people get killed by ICE. I'm thinking of course, what happened in Minnesota. I can tell you plenty of residents have brought that up to me. And just a few nights ago, had a number of residents who had insisted that we bring our police chief to a neighborhood association meeting because they had a lot of questions. There was a lot of fear, there was a lot of anxiety in the room. They wanted to know, what will Salem police do when this situation arises?
Mm.
So it was really great to hear directly from our police chief. And to help set the table for this, back in January 2025, Chief Trevor Womack issued a statement on his own and said that we, as the Salem police force, are required to uphold Oregon law. We are required to obey Oregon law, and that includes sanctuary laws.
Mhm.
And by the way, we as a council, including the mayor, voted to reaffirm our sanctuary status. So this is something that the mayor has voted to reaffirm and something that I have voted to reaffirm. So you've got the mayor, me, a majority of councilors, and the police chief all reiterating the fact we are a sanctuary city. And so
Mhm.
what that means is that under sanctuary laws, we do not cooperate with ICE. That means that if ICE was to pick up the phone and say, hey, Vanessa, can you tell me where I can find some undocumented immigrants in your community? I would be prohibited under Oregon law from telling them where they are if I
Mhm.
was a city official in that capacity or if I was law enforcement. And so that's where things get really, that's where you start to see those invisible lines of where the city can be, where the federal government can be.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say, I don't want to
Mhm.
make sure that I'm hearing you correctly,
Mhm.
is the city cannot prevent the federal law enforcement from doing what they're doing. What under the scope of what they're supposed to
Well, no, you can't because,
do. Yeah,
I mean,
but things
correct. That's what I'm trying
outside
to
of
say.
their scope
Mhm.
and making sure that we have clear boundaries of, hey, we're not going to help you with this, and we're
Mhm.
not going to let you do that because that's outside of your scope of work.
So
That's where the city can play a role. Is that correct?
yes, and this is based on, and I'm just paraphrasing what Chief Womack said.
Yeah.
Chief Womack, there were a bunch of residents who tried to give him very specific hypotheticals, like, if ICE does this, will you do that? And he consistently declined to answer those hypotheticals because it's really impossible to try and ascertain what exactly an officer is going to do in that
Mhm.
moment It's a split-second decision. You're relying on your instincts. You're relying on your training.
Yes.
You're looking at what is unfolding in front of you. That's a very difficult situation to be in. So what our police chief has urged our residents, if you see what appears to be criminal activity, whether it's committed by an ICE officer or me or anyone, if you see criminal activity, call 911. So the Salem Police Department has policy, by the way, that if they do get a call involving immigrant authorities, that a shift commander will get involved, the sergeant will get involved, that they will have their chain of command will get involved in those situations. But again, even their own policy is just not going to tell you. It's not like an IKEA instruction manual that tells you exactly what to do in every precise situation. It requires the body of knowledge, skills, training, professional judgment, de-escalation. So that's where it becomes very difficult to give people a precise answer. And if our own police chief is not willing to do that, and I understand that, then I'm certainly not going to sit here and invent hypotheticals and tell you, oh, that's totally how a police officer respond. The other thing that I will say, which I'm very proud of, I voted to support funding for body cameras. And this is something that the Salem Police Employees Union wanted. The Police Employees Union wanted body cameras. They submitted a letter to council. It's not often that they do something like that, so I could tell they felt strongly about it. But the body cameras provide accountability for everybody.
Yes.
For the people wearing the badge and the people they're engaging with. And so the policies of the Salem Police Department say that when they're engaging with ICE, if that happens, they are required to turn on their body cameras. So I think that level of accountability is best for everybody. I think transparency and accountability, I think we can all agree we need more of that. So those are some of the things so that's where I would answer that basically.
Yeah, no, totally. I get that. Well, that's a good thing to know, just because there's a lot of, misinformation, I feel like, because, especially with people running for office or people, who just don't know what they're talking about. And so it's really easy to get misinformation or get painted the wrong idea. And so that's why I think it's important to have these conversations. So then we know, okay, what actually can you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just really commend our police chief that he was willing to come to a neighborhood association and answer tough questions. That to me is how you model transparency and leadership. So that was really important. I'm glad that he did that.
No, I totally agree. And one thing I would like to say about, Police Chief Womack is, I think I have deep respect for the guy, and I think that they do a great job over there. And one of the things that he brought up to me was that, Salem is Oregon's best reactive police force. Or he said something of the sort. And at first I was like, what do you mean by that? And one of the things he mentioned was, well, the amount of police officers that we have, it's just manpower, right? For the amount of have versus the amount of crime they have to deal with, they're not able to be proactive because they're constantly having to respond to things.
Yeah, and so I understand.
Yeah, so they can't do a lot of these programs to go be proactive because they're constantly having to be reactive. So if we had more bodies there, aka if we were able to hire on more police officers and had a bigger, funding for that program, then we'd have the ability to go do some of these proactive things.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I didn't really think about until you put it that way was, we don't have the ability to go out and be as proactive as we would like to be.
Well, I hear you. And I just want to say, to make sure that all of your listeners know, that I've been on council since 2019. And I remember when some other bodies were defunding police. Wow, that was a dumb idea. And I can tell you, seriously. I have voted to increase my police budget. I voted to give support a bonus program to get people, when they hire on, like a bonus for just signing up. I've supported pay raises. I've supported more equipment. I voted for the police bond to create their new facility. I do not have that voting record. And then most recently, council voted unanimously to double the size of the homeless services team.
Yeah, I thought that was a smart move.
That was a very smart move by all of us. It was recommended by our city manager. I remember when the homeless services team idea first came up, I want to say it was 2022. I voted for that. I voted for a behavioral health team in the past, and I voted for the REACH team, which helps redirect some calls that are more suitable
Yep.
for people who have a medical issue, a mental health issue, a drug addiction issue, someone who just looks like they're lost and confused or passed out on the street. That's a call that our REACH team, which stands for Rapid Engagement Assessment Community Health Team, that's a perfect job for them. And by the way, we have a council meeting coming up on Monday night, and we're going to get an update on REACH team. I've already met with our Yes, I've met with our fire chief. The REACH team, just in its past month, has done phenomenal work. They've gotten reams of data that proves that it is working as planned. And so I hope you guys will be covering that. I can tell you, I first brought up the concept of this REACH team back in 2019 when I first joined council.
You brought it up?
Yes, I did.
Oh, good job.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Honestly, that's a really cool program.
Yeah, absolutely. I think on my Facebook page way back when, we actually went back in time and found the video clip of a younger Vanessa. And I remember it was Mayor Chuck Bennett back in the day. We were in the old council chambers, and I was talking to Director Rutherford saying, hey, what's this CAHOOTS unit I keep hearing about? And CAHOOTS was the acronym for basically the REACH team of Eugene. And the basic concept is you have a mental health professional and a medical professional who can triage these calls in the field, and you can free up your firefighters and your police for the higher acuity calls. So it's my hope that this REACH team will really help complete the spectrum of public safety services, and it frees up Chief Womack's team for other jobs that are much more suitable to their skills and their training.
Yeah. No, I actually think the more I learned about the REACH team and what it does, I think it's a really cool program. In fact, it'd probably be good to have a podcast and bring in some of those folks.
Yes, you should. Absolutely.
Yeah, just to help people understand it.
Yeah. No, it's worthy of its own podcast for sure. There are a lot of folks in Salem who are struggling with mental health, addiction, or both. And sometimes homelessness too. I mean, sometimes all three at the same time.
That's the great segue.
I mean,
our next topic.
Oh, we'll go there for sure. And by the way, if you've not done this already, Bridgeway's new sobering center, I just toured it yesterday afternoon.
Oh, how was it? I haven't had the chance to yet.
It's going to be amazing. 34 beds, and they will provide detox and sobering, medical treatment, behavioral health treatment in this brand new facility. Dalkey Construction. They're using a lot of local folks, which I always love. I'm a big fan of supporting local.
We have gotten much better at that recently, which I'm very proud of.
Yeah, I think it's super important. So 34 beds is great. I mean, honestly, we need more like 340 beds. I mean, I actually don't know the precise number that we need, but it's more than 34. I think we can all agree on that.
No, I completely agree. Well, I did 2 podcasts on homelessness so far. I'm going to do a whole series.
Fantastic.
I did one with just DJ Vincent, where we were talking about what Church in the Park does, because they've been growing immensely. And a lot sometimes when things grow really fast, we're like, what's going on over here? And so we were just talking about what they do, which he brought up a very good point. He's like, well, we deal with so if there's a thing that we used in ethics classes when I went to Willamette, when they were talking about it was like babies floating down a river. And so ethically, if you saw a baby floating down the river, you should go get the baby out of the river. Right?
Okay. All right. I would agree to that.
Okay.
Yes, I would do that.
Okay.
I would dive in. I'd use those swim team skills to good use. I'd get in there for sure.
Well, so then this takes a step further. Right? What if there's multiple babies?
All right. Save them all.
Okay. Well, then if they keep coming, at what point do you leave to go, like if you have a family at home, to go feed? You know what I mean? Or if there's no one else around.
Fascinating.
So there's a lot of like...
What a horrifying prospect, by the way. The visual is just terrifying.
It might have been people and not babies, now that I'm thinking about it.
Either way,
there's people in a river.
Okay.
Yeah, but a lot of ethics people would use it to debate about what ethically is a person supposed to do. Someone would argue, not my people, not my problem. They keep walking on. You know, but me, I'd be like, well, I'd stop and help. But at what point do you also take care of yourself? And so, anyway, so that's the analogy we used with homelessness.
Fascinating.
About people floating down a river. And, DJ mentioned, well, yeah, for Church of the Park, they handle people at the end of the river. They're at the bottom of the river pulling people out because these people are already going down the river. So then we were talking about, okay, well, what about the people falling into the river up at the top? How do we stop people from falling into this river? And that was the last podcast I just shot with DJ Vincent and Jimmy Jones.
Yes,
with,
Jimmy
Arches.
Jones. Yeah,
Yes.
Community Action Agency. Arches is just one of the facets of Community Action Agency.
Correct. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so we just were talking about that.
Mm.
And then what we were going to do is release that to the public, let people scrutinize it or bring in questions. So if you do have any questions on it and you want to like dig deep on it, then I'll bring a lot of those questions in for the next one that I do. I don't know who will be on the next one, but the goal is to like really kind of dig deep, because a lot of times we just ask surface level questions. Anywho, this goes back to my
I
question
love
to
that
you.
though. I'm so glad that you're doing that. By the way, between those two entities, I mean,
Yeah.
if Community Action Agency and Church of the Park disappeared, our homeless population would double overnight. I mean, they provide so much service and support and housing and shelter and case management. I mean, I cannot imagine our city without them. It would be a lot.
It feels like it's doubling anyways. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you about, is see kind of your thoughts on this. So I was just talking to, do you ever go to Portland?
Not often anymore.
Yeah. So me neither. I try not to. But recently I did.
Mhm.
And I was walking downtown, and I am notorious for talking smack about Portland because it's a hot mess. And I was walking downtown Portland, and it wasn't that bad
Mhm.
in the areas that I was walking, and not from what it has been in the past few years.
Great.
And then,
Sounds like progress.
yeah, well, it does. And I feel like in Salem, it kind of feels like it's gotten worse.
Mhm.
And so I was wondering kind of your thoughts on, just as people walking downtown or walking around Salem, what are your thoughts on how we're handling homelessness as a city? What the city's role even is in that, if anything.
Sure.
And then kind of where you think, because you're not, even if you're just a city council, even if you become mayor, you're still a citizen of Salem and you're a community leader, right? And so, I would love to hear your thoughts on where we should be going with the homelessness issue, and how we think we should tackle that.
Sure. Well, first of all, I think it's important did they mention the point in time count from 2025 in your interview?
I think we did briefly. Yeah.
So the reason I mentioned that is that that's the most recent citywide count that we did of homelessness in the area. And as of that point in time count, now point in time count, if for listeners who may not be familiar, point in time, it means that we're going to count people who are homeless on this particular day.
Yeah, right now.
Right now.
Yes.
And we all recognize that some days may be better, some days may be worse, but there is a national point in time count that is done. And you as a community can opt in to do it every year or every other year or something like that. There's the Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance oversees and conducts the point in time count.
Yes.
Yeah. Our mayor and Councilor Matthews are our representatives on that alliance. So they should know this like the back of their hand. So the point in time count, however, was published in the paper. So that's why I'm familiar with it. The point in time count showed 2,135 to somewhere in that range, 2,100-ish people who are experiencing homelessness in January of 2025. Now, in the past, I have heard of that number fluctuating. Most recently, I've heard the number may be closer to 1,800. So there is ebb and flow.
Yeah.
One thing that struck me, though, about the point in time count is it said that about 47% of that 2,100 individuals and some change were newly homeless. So I think we need to consider that who is homeless today may be newly homeless. And why is that? Drugs are not new. Mental illness is not new. Schizophrenia didn't just suddenly arrive out of nowhere. Dementia, these are some of the challenges. Bipolar, these are the things that happen on our streets. We have plenty of people who are homeless who have mental health diagnoses.
Yeah.
We have plenty of people on our streets who have physical disabilities that make it very difficult for a variety of things. And opioids are not new. Drugs are not new. So how do you explain the fact that homelessness is more intense? It cannot be explained alone by the presence of drugs or the existence of mental illness, because those things have been around in one form or another for decades, for generations, really, especially mental illness. So I think that what you look at, and I assume that this was discussed with Jimmy and with DJ, one of the things we do know for sure that is changing is the affordability of housing.
Yes.
So,
well, this is
yeah.
that was one of the biggest topics of
Yeah.
the podcast
Oh,
was
great.
housing affordability. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just affordable housing itself, but like actual housing, like regular housing. Because if you make regular housing more affordable, then a lot of the people from affordable housing go up to there, which then allow people more room in affordable housing. And so it was a really interesting conversation. But I would love to hear your perspective on housing, and if you might want to touch on, as you know, if you become our next mayor, or even in your role as city councilor, how you think we could address housing as a whole.
Well, these are big questions, so I'll do my best
Huge
to
questions,
answer.
so
I'll just do my best to answer everything.
yeah,
so
if you could just solve all the problems.
yeah, I will do that by the end of this podcast. 100%.
Yeah. Cool.
No, I recently toured the navigation center. I like to show up unannounced to shelters, just to see how things are going. So I
used to
recently
do that at schools sometimes.
You should do that,
Yeah.
and that's smart. So as a leader, it's important to just show up and talk to the boots on the ground, the everyday people who are running those organizations and the people they're serving. So I've shown up unannounced, for example, at Village of Hope, which is the Church of the Park run shelter on Center Street over by Safeway. And showing up unannounced was really powerful. And I was really struck by, and a lot of people don't think about this, the number of seniors experiencing homelessness.
Yeah, we talked about that too.
Yeah, I mean, it's breathtaking to me and heartbreaking, but seniors are one of the fastest growing demographics of people becoming homelessness right now. These are folks who have paid their dues. They've worked their entire lives. They're trying to retire with dignity, but they've got medical bills that come up. They've got their roof is leaking. Their car breaks down. Their air conditioning unit, if they can afford one, stops working. I have met people in shelters who were, certainly old enough to be my grandparents. And these are folks who are struggling and have different needs.
Yeah.
And, telling them to go out and get a job is not the right answer for someone in their late 70s. That's not a realistic choice for someone with physical disabilities, perhaps some cognitive decline, some other challenges. So I feel strongly that workforce development is an essential aspect of ending homelessness for people who can work.
Correct.
But people don't realize our homeless population includes a lot of youth, minors under the age of 18. I'm not going to expect them to work. And it includes a lot of seniors and persons with severe disabilities, persons who no normal, reasonable person would expect them to work. So you have to have case management plans that align for each person. So when I was at the Navigation Center recently, which, by the way, that was a project I voted for, and that was a great example of something I would like to see a lot more of, and that is county and city collaboration.
So tell us a little bit more. What is it?
Yes, I will do that. So during the pandemic, cities and counties got billion at the national level, billions of dollars in ARPA funds. So every city, every county got their piece of the pie. And we all had to decide as decision makers, how do we spend this money? Because you can only spend it on certain things, and you must spend it down within a certain period of time. Like a lot of federal grants and other federal monies, strings come attached. So there was an old DHS office on 22nd, I think it is, not too far away from where we are now. And the city of Salem and Marion County used their ARPA money to purchase that building. And so I'm really grateful for the Marion County commissioners for voting to do that. They parted with some of their ARPA money. However, I will say it makes sense because Marion County takes our taxpayer dollars too. They have a role to play in ending homelessness, just like the city does.
That's true.
They do. And so, the city has done the lion's share of addressing homelessness. If you look just in terms of dollars spent, the city has spent the lion's share out of the city and county partners on creating shelter, on providing case management support, on doing all these things to help address homelessness in our town. Navigation Center is now run by Community Action Agency staff. So the city owns the building, but Community Action Agency has its own money. So we're not spending your money or my money. Community Action Agency is now They get their money from other sources. They apply for federal grants and state grants and this and
Hmm.
that. So they have found their own resources, for which I'm extremely grateful, because the city does not have unlimited money to spend on homelessness.
Yes, that's true.
They do not. And we have many priorities facing our city: public
Hmm.
safety, clean water. It's a full package. It's a full meal deal, things to work on. So the Navigation Center provides treatment, therapy, case management, ways to connect people with job opportunities,
Hmm.
and permanent housing, and we'll get to permanent housing in a moment. So I toured that recently, and they are regularly at capacity or very close to it.
Yes.
Thankfully, now that we have the REACH team in place, uh, first responders can bring a person from their ambulance or other, first responder vehicle, including our Salem police. They
Hmm.
can come and drop someone off at the Nav Center, where they can start to heal, where they can start to stabilize, where they can get clean, where they can get sober. We need those things in the worst way.
Yes.
So that is a part of the puzzle. And I think it's really important. You have to have places where people can show up buzzed. I know that can be kind of a politically controversial topic here, but if you require sobriety from the moment they step through the entrance, that means there's going to be a lot of drunk people and people who are high on drugs who will be left to their own devices on the streets and not brought into a secure, safe location where they can go to sleep, they can calm down, and they can no longer pose a threat to themselves or others. So you need both. You need what are called high barrier shelters, which are sober from the moment you enter, and you need lower barrier shelters, because I would much rather have someone sober up in a safe space indoors than have someone on the streets where they could hurt someone or get hurt.
Well, it
in a
seems like a
vulnerable
lot of times
state.
they're on the street anyways.
Yeah, well, that's because we don't have enough beds. We don't have enough drug treatment beds. As I said, we have a sobering center that's coming online, that
Mhm.
Bridgeway. That's not a city project. That's not city money. Bridgeway found the money to make this happen, and I'm
That's cool.
really excited for them. The city should be a partner, but we cannot solve some homelessness by ourselves. We can't.
Yeah.
We don't have the financial resources to do it. And even if we did, it's not our responsibility alone. I didn't cause the homelessness crisis. You didn't
Yeah.
cause the homelessness crisis. The county didn't. So, but we do have, as you say, some babies in the river, and we do
Yeah.
have a responsibility to our people. These are our residents.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't let them die in the streets. There are ways to use accountability and to make this happen. And I will say also, I did vote for the camping ban. So I don't believe in lawlessness. I think everyone should be held accountable. I think the laws should be obeyed. And I also think
What
that,
was the camping ban, just for people?
so the city enacted a camping ban on city property.
Which basically meant, so on city property, you can't put up a tent.
That,
and
yes, that is
bring
the
a
goal.
shopping cart and
Right.
crash the place.
That is the goal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I say that is the goal because I know this from speaking to the police officer who serves on the homeless services team,
Yeah.
one of them. And he said, listen, you can send me out every day you want and tell people you can't camp here. This is city property. You can't be here. But they don't have enough places to go to. So enforcement alone will not magically make these people disappear.
Yeah, correct.
And so would you rather them be camping in an area where they have access to garbage service and a few other basic amenities, or until more shelter can be found, more housing can be built? Or would you rather have them sleeping in front of your favorite business corridor or in your neighborhood? This is a tough, tough issue. And like I said, the city has a role to play, but we're not the only ones. I want to see the county to continue to collaborate with us on this. I know we've got nonprofit partners who apply for grants to make it happen. And Church of the Park is one example. Community Action Agency is another. There's a lot of other partners in town. St. Francis Family Shelter, Family Promise, UGM, Samanka Place. I've met them all. I've toured them all. I've educated myself on the issues, and I can tell you it's a complex issue. The Homeless Alliance, though, is pretty important because they can help decide how money gets spent in our area. So it's really important to have representatives on the Homeless Alliance who know the data, understand the data, and use the money as wisely as possible to get the best bang for taxpayer buck.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Now, on the flip side of the homelessness
Mhm.
issue, we could talk about that all day,
For sure.
but we also have limited time, and I want to respect your time.
Right.
So with the housing, because one of the things that I often talk about, right, when you shared this data, 47%
Mhm.
of people who are homeless are newly homeless,
Mhm.
and any stat that I've heard recently is around that number, give or take,
Mhm.
right? And so if we could cut off that 50% roughly, then that would, or even make a dent in that 50% of preventing people from becoming homeless. That I think will be a huge help to the problem. And not just
100%.
that, but stop a lot of people from their lives being destroyed.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so let's just focus on that for a second. One of the biggest things that DJ and Jimmy and you and anyone who I've talked to about it talks about is housing affordability. Now, what do you think what role can the city play in housing affordability? And what would be kind of your plan to help address the issue of housing affordability so we can help prevent at least people who live here locally
Right.
from becoming homeless?
Right. Absolutely. Great question. So when I joined council in 2019, affordable housing was not a city priority.
Mhm.
And I remember being in a council meeting years ago, arguing with my peers, advocating. And I wouldn't say arguing,
Advocating.
advocating.
I like that word. That's very positive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you've seen our meetings, and I know you have, because I've seen you there, we're
Yes.
actually a very collegial group,
Yes, and that's one thing.
which I love.
Let's
right?
take just a quick second. I would like to, you know, uh, commend you and the rest of city council, right? Is because I've seen people go at each other's throats for a minute. Well, not really at each other's throats. I've seen people clash and combat each other. But one thing that I really respect the hell out of all of you guys for
Mhm.
is even after the Kyle Hedquist thing, even after there was like one or two other things that you guys were clashing on and disagreeing on, right? At the end of that meeting, I witnessed, Councilor Vang and Councilor Gwynn
Yeah.
apologize to each other.
Right. Uh-huh.
Witnessed each other say, you know what, I apologize for how this came across. It
Yeah.
wasn't my intention, and really spell that out. And I think that takes a lot of integrity.
Yeah.
And
sure.
Even if you don't agree with the way one of the other counselors was speaking, I think that it really shows that you guys are there for the right reasons. And so,
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that we all work on 100%. And I couldn't agree more. So anyway, I do remember telling my peers, we have got to make affordable housing a priority. This
Mhm.
needs to change. This is coming down the pike. I think when I was first asked by the Statesman Journal, like what do you see as the big problem facing Salem? Like everyone expects you to say homelessness. And of course I acknowledge homelessness is a huge issue. But I started saying affordable housing is the next biggest challenge facing our city.
Yeah.
And in 2019, even in 2019, people weren't talking about it then like we are now. And boy, are we talking about it now.
Yeah. Well, because you could see
Mhm.
it coming then.
Yeah. Listen, you look at the pandemic and how median prices just skyrocketed during I think the median price home now is over 400,000, closer to $450,000 in the city of Salem.
Mm.
And the city staff told us at a meeting when we were talking about housing that less than 20% of Salem residents could afford to buy a median price home in the city of Salem.
Mhm.
So that should tell you how far away we are from people owning their own house with a white picket fence and a garage and all those things. It's completely out of reach
Mm.
for a lot of people. So it's a huge challenge. So what are we doing about it? So I can tell you, you can look at my voting record for the last 6 years now, and I voted time and time again to create more housing, to create more affordable housing in various parts of the city, West Salem, South Salem, Northeast Salem. I have done a lot.
And I guess
to make
on that
priority.
part,
Mhm.
sorry, I just want to
Yeah, go for it.
clarifying question. When you're saying like making it a priority to build affordable housing, what does that mean? Are you talking about like making it easier for builders to build, or are you
Mhm.
talking about public funding for affordable housing? What I guess logistically, what do you mean by?
A combination thereof. So we passed the Our Salem comprehensive plan change,
Mhm.
and we're trying to make it easier, faster, and cheaper to build.
Mhm.
We still have a lot of work to do in that area, but we've been receiving some positive feedback from developers at council meetings about the progress that our city planning and permitting staff is making. but we need to push that further. One of the things we did is we voted to rezone about 1,800 acres within Salem city limits. Formerly, that acreage was off limits to development and building housing on it. So you can artificially create scarcity if you just don't let people build here,
Correct.
here, and there, right?
Yeah.
So that rezoning is going to make a huge difference.
When did that get done?
I don't remember the precise year, but it was a little while ago. And
Yeah.
the reason I know that is that the Gussie Bell Commons property, which on Center Street, I mean, it's almost done. They're about to open their doors. That is an example of a piece of property that was previously zoned in such a way that you could not build housing on it. And now it's almost done.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so that was a little while ago. I can't remember which year. It's been 6 years, and the precise year sometimes
no, I'm
evades
not
me.
worried about that.
So last May, council voted to support a housing production strategy. So we've come a long way from the old days when I was on council in 2019. And we have a housing production strategy that is, again, intended to make it easier to build more middle housing, which includes things like duplexes, quadplexes. We have a free kit for an accessory dwelling unit that you can download from the city's website. And we
that's
have,
kinda cool.
yeah, exactly. I mean, so if you are one of those people, there's a lot of homes that were built in Salem with very generously sized yards,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
We've all seen those neighborhoods. You could put an ADU on that property if you wanted to. That's your choice. No one's going to force you to do it. Councilor Nordyke is not going to say, I'm going to show up in my hard hat
Yeah. Start building.
and start building.
Grab a hammer.
No. I'm not doing, no one's going to do that. But if you want to do it, it's
People might get a
easier
kick
than
out of that,
forever.
actually. People might let you do it. What?
I mean, well, first of all, I have the utmost respect for the construction trades. That is not my skill set. Leave it to the experts. You don't want me building your house.
That's totally fair.
I loved Legos as a kid. That's as far as I go in home improvement projects and construction.
All right,
Like I
all
could
right,
build
all right.
stuff like nobody's business, so long as they all have the same,
If it's bricks, Lego bricks.
well, yeah, because they all have the same little increments, so they all fit perfectly
Yeah.
together. That's not how it
I've
works.
seen houses that are built like that. Have you seen those?
I have not.
It's actually really cool. It's like a TikTok thing.
I
Just like-
guess my calling has
Yeah.
finally arrived.
it's finally arrived. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I'll send you a link and then you can go apply.
So another thing that we did, you may remember 2022, the voters passed the infrastructure bond measure.
Mhm.
And I voted for that. I would have wanted us to do even more with that. And what I mean is within that bond measure, we had all these buckets of funding.
Yeah.
We paid for cybersecurity. We paid for seismic upgrades. We paid for improvements and repairs to bridges and roads and sidewalks.
Uh,
But within that $300 million bond, if I'm remembering correctly, spend a minute, within that $300 million, we set aside $10 million for an affordable housing opportunity fund, which means that any private developer, call me if you're interested. The affordable housing opportunity fund was intended not for us to build, spend all 10 million ourselves, but to leverage private development projects to make more affordable housing happen. And so there's
please explain that. Please. How does this work?
Okay, so if you want the nuts and bolts explanation, I will not be able to give that. That's a city staffer.
Okay.
But the basic concept is this has happened plenty of times where a developer will reach out to us and say, we want some money to get us over the finish line. We're 99% funded.
Yeah.
We need just a little bit of money from the city, maybe say $750,000 or what have you. With just a little bit more money, we'll be able to get this project to pencil out. That's the term.
$750,000.
You know what? If you want to submit it,
I got some Legos.
Wow. Okay.
Peone and Nordyke Corporation is building.
Oh
houses.
my goodness.
ADUs.
The staff will never forgive me for this.
Definitely.
They will never
Yeah,
forgive
yeah,
me.
yeah, you're
Like,
good.
what did you do? What did you say? Weirdo. Yeah.
Okay,
And
ADU. Sorry.
so that opportunity fund is available to help get
Yeah.
these projects over the finish line. We also have URA funding, and we are using that too. URA means Urban Renewal Agency,
Okay.
and a lot of cities have one. And the basic concept is most of the downtown core is within a URA. And the property has a frozen tax base. So it's like its value is frozen in time. And as the property appreciates in value, the increase in taxable value isn't put in the general fund pocket. It's put in the URA pocket
I see.
to reinvest in brick and mortar improvements in that downtown core.
Interesting.
Or
So
wherever the URA is. The URA is
Yeah.
for tax increment increases within that area that can only be spent in that area.
okay, so let's just say downtown Salem, which I believe has one.
Yes,
isn't
it does.
Yeah. And so we'll say, hey, we're gonna pause all, like, whatever your taxes are, it's staying that way. But then the amount that goes into the fund. Let me rephrase this.
Well, yeah,
Okay,
I'm
so
not.
the taxes keep increasing per usual,
Mhm,
but the amount that goes to the city
mhm.
stops here, and then the increased amount gets put into the separate fund that gets reinvested. Is that correct?
I think you're close, but
Okay.
basically,
Sorry, I'm
I
not very
mean,
smart. So I have
no,
to-
no, it's fine, and I'm introducing you to the concept. But basically, no, there is a frozen tax value, and as it continues to appreciate in value,
Yeah.
that money goes into the URA fund instead of going to the city of Salem, the county, the school district, because normally those property taxes would go to all of those entities.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it applies to
not
everybody,
just.
not just the city.
That's right.
Okay,
And
that
so,
makes
yeah,
sense.
when we form a URA, it does have an impact on other jurisdictions to raise money. So if you look at our downtown core, when the Nordstrom Mall first came to town many moons ago, they used URA money.
Mm.
When you look at, but let's go with something more contemporary. We have had a lot of money invested in our downtown, and more is going to happen. But some recent examples of projects who got money from the city, and that was either through URA funds and or our multi-use housing tax incentive program. That includes the Holman Hotel,
Mhm.
Rivenwood Apartments, and the next phase of apartments that's going to happen has also qualified preliminarily. We've used funds for several
Wait,
downtown
for the
restaurants.
Rivenwood apartments?
Rivenwood Apartments received some funding from the city to help that project pencil out, and it
Mhm.
provides workforce development housing, which is a fancy way of saying it's not all necessarily market rate pricing. It's a hair below it, but it's not enough to qualify as affordable housing.
Yeah.
There's some formulas involved that basically have to do with determining what the area median income is in the city.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that
actually,
fluctuates all the time.
I actually think that type of housing is really important. A lot of the welfare benefits that we have available for people, like subsidies or help,
Yeah.
who do need the help, but they just slightly don't qualify it,
Mhm.
and by like a technicality or just a couple bucks, or and I think that's why that type of housing is really affordable,
Mhm.
is really important, because for those people who just don't quite hit the mark of affordable housing,
Mhm.
have an option
Yeah.
to prevent them from getting on there.
Yeah, absolutely. We have there was a couple articles a while ago about Salem Housing Authority
Mhm.
and how, some people make just a hair too much to qualify for this housing, but they can't afford that housing either.
Yeah.
So people get stuck. That's just part of the challenges we face. So we have 4 projects that are going to be coming to Salem, but they are contingent upon these private developers getting the capital they need to make these projects happen. We'll be there to provide a little support, but we can't give them $30 million, right? We don't have that
Mhm.
kind of money to give. So Deacon is a developer, and they formed Rivenwood Apartments. They loved working with the city staff so much, and they said this at a public meeting, that's why I'm repeating it, that they are now working on that properties that is currently being built as we speak across from the transit mall. So that's phase 1 for more
Transit mall? What's the transit?
the Chariot Transit Mall.
Oh, you're talking about the
You
bus
know-
station?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. So they're working on that. That's going to be phase 1. We've approved that.
Mhm.
And there's going to be phase 2, which is the pit. You remember the old bank that used to be downtown? And
Oh,
now it's a
yes.
gigantic, literally a pit in the middle of downtown
I
Salem.
kind of like it.
Nothing says roll out the welcome mat like a gigantic pit with like chain link fence around it. We can do better.
What's the plan for that?
Like I said, they are going to build on that too. And that's going to be phase 2 of
Are
more
they-
downtown
Are they going
housing.
to put some parking underneath the building?
I don't know offhand. We haven't advanced that far. Right now we've approved phase 1, which is that other location.
Yeah.
So phase 2, I haven't seen the plans for that yet, so I couldn't comment. We also have a developer in mind for the former UGM and Saffron Supply location.
Mhm.
And they want to have housing up top and maybe some retail and a plaza on the main floor, which I think would be really cool.
That would be cool.
And we also have a developer in mind for the former Boise Cascade property, which is South Waterfront overlooking the Peter Courtney Bridge.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So we stand ready to work with people who want to invest in Salem. We have urban renewal area dollars and some other grant programs that are available exclusively to businesses who want to locate within that area or who want to make brick and mortar improvements if they already are in that area. So that's something the city of Salem has been doing for decades. The Riverfront URA was formed in the 70s, if I'm not mistaken.
Dang.
And if you go online, you can see where all the URAs are in the city. You can see, and if you are a business and you're interested in perhaps taking advantage of these resources, please reach out to me. I would love to connect you with our city staff. We want Salem to thrive. We really do. We don't want to say no. We want to help you get to yes. That is what I firmly believe. And just sit down and have a conversation with us.
So you know what, Vanessa? I love that.
Yeah.
That's a great thing that our city's doing. Then on the other hand, and I'm sure you've seen some of the articles or things about this. In fact, the city just put a pause in sign code.
Yep, that's right.
And then then there's things like that. And I've been hearing about bike racks that have been being, forced to be putting inside buildings, which are then delaying costs for construction for building.
I've not heard about the bike racks thing.
Oh, I've heard of two different scenarios downtown where the city's requiring them to put bike racks inside the building. I believe, I don't want to say who it was, but I'll ask them if it's okay if I say who it was. But there was two different jobs that I heard where the city's requiring them to put bike racks inside of the building now when it wasn't on the original plan. And then on top of that, the sign code enforcement. So there's these other things that we're doing that really seem like it's, kicking businesses while they're down. It kind of feels like sometimes.
Well, they should reach out to me and I will talk to the staff. I need to,
Fair enough.
I think you should always reach out to your representative on council. We do have a councilor who represents downtown. And, of course, I'm interested in speaking to businesses too.
Sure.
I've had plenty of businesses from all over the city reach out to me to share their concerns. And thank you for doing that. Keep it coming. That feedback is positive. I had shared my concerns about the sign code with our city manager. I explained to her, listen, this sign code is too confusing. We need something simpler. We need clear examples. I would love to have a sign code that has like photographic examples in the code that says, this is good. Like a big green check next to it. And this is bad with like a big red circle and a strike for it. Literally business owners are busy people.
Yes.
They're building their dream. Literally they're handling payroll. They're addressing customers. Yeah. They don't have time to mess around with the sign code. We need to get it right. We need to make it simple and clear. So I'm in favor of the pause for the reasons I mentioned. I've seen the sign code. I've met with business owners who have shared their frustrations with me. And I appreciate it. That's the feedback that I want. If you are concerned about how our city is being run or what your interactions are like with our staff, I want to know it. If I don't know it, then I can't help. So please do reach out to me. And I also recommend reaching out to your counselor. We are there for a reason, to help be a facilitator, a convener, to help people get things done. So I want to help people do that. I really wanted to just add, back in September of last year, I was a big supporter and mentioned at a council meeting, we need to sunset the downtown business tax.
Yes, that's the paid parking, the beat.
That's right. And so I'm really glad that we did that. We collected about 6 months of data showing that the paid parking meters were indeed raising revenue. And so we had the city staff come back with a proposal in January after 6 months have been happening. And sure enough, by then the city staff had heard me and others talk about, let's get rid of this downtown parking tax. We don't need it anymore. The paid parking revenue is more than enough to not only meet, but exceed the revenue that was being raised on the backs of downtown businesses. So let's get rid of it and let's give them a refund. That was another big point that I made. Let's refund the money that any of these downtown businesses have already paid. So I'm really glad we did that.
No, I am too. And I think that's it really shows, a good foot forward to the businesses who are paying that tax to say, hey, you've been doing that. You've been paying this. We have enough. Here's this back. I think that's a really good move by the city.
Right.
And one concern I've heard quite frequently, and I don't know the exact answer to this, but I heard from several like downtown places that are either coffee shops or restaurants with the beep beep parking, which by the way I think overall has been good. I was against it in the beginning, but I'm like a crudgy old man,
Okay.
That's
Say
like
so.
yeah. And but like once it happened, I was like, okay, this isn't too bad. And but I've heard from some concerns from a couple of downtown businesses that one type of consumer that they've lost is the people who are kind of on their way to work. They're going to stop by real quick, grab a cup of coffee and dip, because they're spending like what, $5 on a cup of coffee or a quick bite to eat. And then they're like leaving. So they're not staying to hang out. They're just grabbing something and going. And I've heard from, quite a few folks that like that customer is no longer stopping downtown. They're going elsewhere because they can just stop by and not have to pay for parking, whereas downtown they do. And I don't know if there's a solution to that or anything, but that's just one thing I figured I'd raise to your attention and to, other city councilors. Because
yeah, well, I appreciate that. I find that interesting because what we have also heard is that before there were parking meters, there were some downtown employees who would hog some of the parking spots, right?
Interesting.
No, my city staff told me that too. So, I think that it's one of the ways that you can take advantage of the new parking meters is that if you have quarters on you, you can plunk a quarter in and you can use that to park very affordably right in front of a building, assuming there's a space available. The success, I want to see our downtown busy and thriving. I want to see people using the parking spaces because that's how I know they're downtown shopping and supporting a downtown economy.
Yeah.
So I don't know how exactly to balance all of those things perfectly, but I can assure you that we will continue to receive feedback. And again, I want the businesses to reach out to me. I'd love hearing this feedback. And again, because it is metered parking and not you can be there for hours on end with paying nothing, that incentivizes the people who are in those parking spots to use their time wisely also, right? So I feel like there's a balancing test there. When I have my parking meter, I'm mindful of that. It's like, all right, I just paid $1.85 and I keep tabs on that and it keeps me moving because if I want to go, of course, to another section of downtown to shop, then I'll just use the app and expand it on the meter. And I do love that. On the app, there's a little dial. And it's like, oh, I decided to stop at another store. That's just another 25 cents. I mean, seriously. So I can just go choop and expand my time. So I really appreciate the feedback. I wish it did.
It should.
I love the sound. Yeah. All right. Well, I
thank you.
appreciate that feedback. It's something I'll talk to our staff about.
Yeah, for sure. And is there anything else in regards to the business community that you'd like to say, or like things that you've been working on?
Oh, yeah.
Or some of the issues that you'd like to address real quick before we go?
Well, I want them to understand that, I'm not a fan of, I don't support the Cherriots payroll tax and I don't support the gas tax that's coming up. I think that now affordability is top of mind for every Oregonian. I feel that right now we should be looking very carefully at what kind of taxes we take to our business owners, our workers, our seniors, our single moms who are holding down 2 jobs to pay for everything.
For sure.
I mean, I just think that gas tax is going to go down in flames. And we as a council voted to send a letter to the legislature, a very strongly worded letter that talked about that. And so, So anyway, I see a lot of concerns coming down the pike, and those aren't things that the city is imposing. We're not Cherriots. That wasn't our idea. And we're not ODOT. So I just want to tell folks that I'm very mindful of the fact that these are some of the real world expenses that impact your ability to run your business every day.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Anything else you want to hit on?
No, I don't think so, Jesse. I really appreciate the time. Yeah. And I do hope that I can come back. You and I talked about discussing further in detail the foster care system.
Yes.
And I think I love the fact that you're interested in doing a series on that. So I love to give a little teaser trailer for that right now and hope so we can come back and have a conversation about that too.
No, for sure. And I would, just extend it to you. You're welcome back anytime. And I think that, my goal is, our goal is just to inform people about what's going on and make the city a better place to live. I would love to do the series on foster care because, I kind of grew up in the system, and I think that it was a scary place, and I think it is for a lot of kids.
Yes, it is.
And I don't know what the solution is. I don't think anyone does. Otherwise, we'd fix it. But what we can do is dig really deep on it, and then allow other people to go with us as we're digging deep.
Absolutely.
And then we use the brain think of everyone's brains to be able to come up with potential answers.
No, I love that. And starting from the same, basis, the same facts, that will be helpful. When I give presentations in the community about my work in the foster care system on behalf of children in the system, sometimes I ask them, how many foster kids are in the state of Oregon? And I get wildly different answers. So if we don't even have a consensus on how many children are in the system, how can we even begin to solve the issues? So I like to use questions like that just to get kind of a baseline sense of what people know about the system. And so I think that together we can really share a lot of information and really educate folks. Awareness leads to understanding. Understanding leads to respect. And I think that's how we go about doing this.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of misinformation when it comes to the system, as well as like with homelessness, like our unincorporated city of Wallace Marine Park, how many people are actually living there, the numbers fluctuate depending on who you ask.
Well, if you talk to the homeless services team officers, they say that the number has gone down from about 400 to 125 to 175. So I trust my boots on the ground officers who are there talking with the population. If they tell me that it's gone down that much, I believe them.
That's a big difference.
It is. Yeah. It's absolute progress for sure.
Yeah. Well, my very last question for you, and then we'll go. So have you seen, we just launched a campaign at the end of the year, and then we got a little bit lost in the sauce with the New Year's and Christmas. But we're going to be pushing it for pretty hard again this year, is music and murals. Have you seen any of the stuff that's just pushed on about that?
I have not, but I'm 100% for it. I would love to see more art. I would love to see more murals in our city. I see the value of that, and I would love to learn more. So.
For sure. Well, I won't spend the whole time giving you the whole pitch, but I'll send you some stuff later.
Please do.
The whole idea is just to bring some murals downtown, which will help kind of build a name for Salem, and then get live music downtown and some of our downtown restaurants and bars. And then after we do that, put a big old sign saying Salem, the city of music and murals.
Love it.
Right off I-5 and 22 for people to stop by.
I dig it. So, awesome. Anyway, all right. We've got work to do.
Yeah, we did. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, Jesse. Appreciate your time.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for listening. Oh, and again, I want to thank Hotel Salem and Compass Visuals for sponsoring the podcast. Appreciate you guys. Wouldn't be possible without you. See ya.
See ya.